Movie starts in Norway, where Nazis show up looking for a glowing blue cube called the Tesseract, because apparently regular bullets just aren't enough anymore. We meet Schmidt, a Nazi who kind of reminds me of someone. Ah, yes. Who walks in like, give me the cube or everyone dies. Old man. No? Schmidt. Cool. I'll just erase your family tree. Old man. All right, it's behind the wall. Schmidt finds it instantly and goes full Genghis mode. Now we cut to America, where we meet Steve Rogers, aka a patriotic skeleton with asthma. He's 5 feet nothing, 90 pounds, and built like a cracked iPhone. He tries to enlist in the military, but obviously gets rejected. We also learn that Captain America's dad died from mustard gas and his mom got shot. Damn. So he goes to the movies to chill and ends up in a fight because a guy disrespected the troops. Gets folded in an alley like laundry, still says, I can do this all day. No, you can't, Steve. Then Big Boy Bucky shows up, claps the guy, and saves the day. They go to the Stark Expo, where Howard Stark is making 2050 type tech in the 1940s. Steve immediately ditches Bucky to try enlisting again. This guy's addiction to rejection is actually impressive. Bucky tells him he's weak, he can't keep doing this, but Steve's like, nah, I want to die for my country. This is overheard by Dr. Abraham, who finds Steve perfect for his lab experiments. Steve gets accepted into a secret training program because Dr. Abraham really said, I want the weakest dude in the country, and somehow convinced the US government to say, yeah, sure. They throw Steve into boot camp hell, where everyone's built like a tank and he's still shaped like a USB cable. Steve's struggling. Can't run, can't climb, probably needs CPR after push-ups. Then comes the flagpole test. Climb it, and you get a ride back to base. Nobody's done it in decades. Steve unpins the whole pole like a genius, grabs the flag, and hops in the Jeep like it's Uber XL. Small but efficient. Then comes the grenade test. The sergeant tosses a fake grenade just to see who freaks out. Everyone runs like NPCs. Steve jumps on it like he's ready to meet God. Even though it's fake, Steve legit thought he was going to explode, and still did it. Sergeant just blinks and mutters, he's still skinny. Dr. Erskine watches with that quiet smirk like, that's the one. That's my Captain America. We then transition to Steve's room, where they talk about why Dr. Erskine chose him. We learn that Dr. Erskine originally worked for the Nazis. Yep, Hitler personally recruited him, but Dr. Erskine said no, which not only angered Hitler, but also Schmidt, who then forced the doctor to give him the serum and officially become the first test subject. Why take trend, you might be wondering? Because Schmidt thinks there are powers beyond human, left by the gods, waiting to be discovered by a superior man, aka him. And so, Schmidt becomes the first ever test subject. It works, sorta. Sure, he gets stronger, but mutates his face and turns him into a walking red onion with no nose. Man thinks he's chosen by God. I wonder who he is like. The doc realized too late. The serum amplifies the person inside. If you're a good man, you become great. If you're a twisted psycho, you become a Red Skull monster. That's why Steve was chosen. Not for his muscles, for his heart. Red Skull finds out the doc is helping the US, and like any self-respecting dictator, he sends someone to kill him. Because he knows the serum is America's only real defense. And if they get it right, he's finished. So it's time for Steve to finally get his glow up. They take him to a secret lab under a Brooklyn antique shop, because apparently the best way to protect national secrets is to hide them behind old furniture. He gets in the transformation pod. After 5 minutes of agony, and Tony's dad being dramatic as usual, he walks out, looking damn good. Then boom, sabotage. Hydra agent reveals himself, steals the serum, shoots Dr. Erskine, and runs. Steve chases him barefoot through Brooklyn, parkours across cars, smashes windows, flips a kid off a pier. He stops the guy with a car door like it's a beta version of his shield. But the Hydra dude pops a cyanide tooth and dies like it's a speedrun. Doc is dead. Serum's gone. America's one hope gone. So they slap a costume on Steve and turn him into a propaganda mascot. God bless America. He's on stage punching fake Hitler and selling war bonds. Crowds love it. Real soldiers, not so much. Then he hears Bucky's unit got captured. No backup, no orders. Steve grabs Peggy and Howard and flies behind enemy lines. He breaks into a Hydra base solo, punches dudes, frees prisoners, finds Red Skull, who finally reveals his red onion head. They do a Mexican standoff, then just leaves. He rescues Bucky and the soldiers. And just like that, Steve Rogers goes from mascot to hero. Now that Steve's officially him, they put together the most overpowered squad of World War II. We get a war montage. Shield throws, bike flips, explosions. Meanwhile, Red Skull's cooking something evil with the Tesseract. Not world domination, worse, a sci-fi laser army. He's planning to bomb every major city and start Hydra world domination. Somewhere in the middle of all this, Steve gets his iconic vibranium shield. He's all hyped like it's perfect. Then, Peggy shoots at him.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
But then, tragedy strikes. During a mission, Bucky falls off a train. Steve's devastated, but he keeps going. Now it's time for the final boss fight. Red Skull's loading up his massive flying fortress with bombs for New York, Chicago. Literally everywhere. Steve says nah, jumps onto the plane mid-flight like this is Mission Impossible. He fights Red Skull. Red Skull grabs the Tesseract like I'm chosen, Tesseract, no you're not, and it yeets him into space. Gone. But now the ship is crashing, loaded with bombs. So Steve makes the hardest decision ever. He crashes the plane into the Arctic to save everyone. Goodbye, Brooklyn. Fast forward 70 years later. Steve wakes up in what looks like a 1940s hospital. He hears a baseball game on the radio, but he was at that game, so he knows something's off. He runs outside, Times Square, lights, cars, iPhones, confusion. Nick Fury walks up like, you've been asleep for 70 years. Steve just stares and says,